Hello, I'm George Stevenson. On this episode of Wild Kansas, I want to take you on a trip with me to explore the different pit viper species found here. As we journey throughout our state in search of these magnificent reptiles, I hope to give you a better understanding of which vipers we have, how important they are to the ecosystems they live, and why they should be a respected part of our state's fauna. Are you ready? I'll see you out in the field. Deadly, secretive, predator, feared. All of these can be used to describe the pit viper, but should they be villainized? We'll be searching through the forested eastern part of Kansas, as well as heading out west to the plains. We'll also take a trip to the Ozarks in southwest Missouri. Here in the forests of eastern Kansas is where you can find the copperhead and timber rattlesnake. Both of these reptiles are very shy and secretive, and both are masters at camouflage. Looking for these elusive vipers in their natural habitat can be a daunting task. There's a lot of space to cover, and it's really hit or miss when it comes to finding snakes in general. You have to be in the right place at the right time. Fortunately for us, it's later in the year and the nights are getting cooler. This means the snakes are going to be more active during the day and on the move, heading back to their dens for the colder weather. Both of these snakes, when approached, will often lie still and quiet, relying on their camouflage to keep them hidden. This can be dangerous for a person unaware of their surroundings. Most people are either bitten by stepping on the snake or trying to kill it. If you encounter a snake in the wild and you're not sure what it is, simply move away from it. It's not going to chase you. Now, these rocky outcrops will make excellent den sites for all types of snakes. And this is where we should find some copperheads and timber rattlesnakes. As you can see by the surrounding leaf litter, just how hard these snakes can be to see. Now, if you're close enough to see the pattern of this snake, you're close enough to be able to tell that it's a pit viper. If you look between the nostril and their eye, you'll notice what is called a loreal pit. This is where they get their name, pit vipers. It's a very cool adaptation that allows the snake to detect minute fluctuations in temperature in the surrounding environment. It also lets them detect infrared images in the dark. It helps them hunt at night, and it may also be an adaptation to help them detect predators. Well, it's time to let this snake go. I'm sure she's had enough of our shenanigans for the day. We're just going to set her back down here, and we will be off. Wow, what a gorgeous copperhead, Echistrodon contortrix. Now it's time to find the ever-elusive timber rattlesnake. Here we have the beautiful timber rattlesnake, Crotalus horridus. This is the largest venomous snake in Kansas. Vipers are known for their large fangs and deadly venom, and this snake indeed has both. It usually has a fairly mild disposition, but just like the copperhead, it will defend itself vigorously when threatened. Now I have to be extremely careful here. This snake has enormous venom glands and has the ability to deliver a copious amount of venom. If I were to be bitten by this snake, I would be in big, big trouble. This snake is listed as a species in need of conservation here in the state of Kansas. It's protected by state law, which makes it illegal to kill one of these beauties. The sad thing about these snakes is that they're disappearing from their natural range due to habitat loss and human encroachment. In the not-so-distant future, I'm afraid these snakes may be in big, big trouble. With development running rampant, the timber populations are becoming more and more isolated. We need to make sure we keep places with enough space for these snakes to thrive so they don't go the way of the dinosaur. What an absolutely beautiful animal. We're going to let her be on her way, and we're going to be on ours. Well, that's it for Eastern Kansas. Now we're off to Hayes and the Sternberg Museum to talk to Curtis Schmidt. He's going to help us in our search for the prairie rattlesnake and Massasauga. We've arrived at the Sternberg Museum in Hayes. Let's go inside and find Curtis and check out the place. Hi Curtis, thanks for having us out here today.
Hey, welcome to the museum, George.
Now, we've come out here to find prairie and Massasauga rattlesnakes in the wild, but you guys have something very unique I'd like to share with everybody.
Yeah, we actually have a really neat exhibit right now that highlights all 23 species of rattlesnakes native to the United States. We have all of them alive. You want to go check it out?
Absolutely, let's go take a look.
We've got a new exhibit here at the Sternberg Museum called Rattlers from Fear to Fascination. One of the biggest questions that we always get are what good are snakes or rattlesnakes specifically? It's a very tough question to answer. You know, what good are the snakes doing? They want an immediate reaction or an immediate response to that. It's very tough to give an exact example of what exactly they're good for. The obvious is, they're beneficial because they eat rats, they eat mice. They're very good for the food web and the food chain. With the title of the exhibit, From Fear to Fascination, part of what we want to do, hopefully, is get some of the people to change their minds and learn about the snakes and hopefully become a little more respectful of the snakes, and as opposed to just having the attitude of destroying them and of negativity in general. So we kind of hope to move the people from fear to fascination, at least in some degree. There are a lot of myths surrounding venomous snakes in Kansas, most of which stem from the inability of people to recognize a species of snake. There are many species of snakes that live in the same habitats, in the same areas, and therefore they look very similar because they've evolved the same types of colors and patterns to be successful in a particular environment. One of the worst reputations is with these guys right here. This is a diamondback water snake. Here in Kansas, basically if somebody sees a snake, it's in the water, it's near the water, they automatically assume it's a venomous cottonmouth or water moccasin. Here in the state, we do not really have the cottonmouth, but we do have 4 species of non-venomous water snake that live throughout the state. This one right here probably superficially resembles the cottonmouth the most. They get big, they get dark, they're extremely aggressive, and they live basically at water's edge. Out in western Kansas, we have a good number of non-venomous species, as well as venomous, that share a very typical pattern that I like to refer to as a prairie pattern. So they all kind of look the same. They're evolved to live in the same habitats, the grasslands. And species such as this western hognose snake often get mistaken for a venomous prairie rattlesnake. It's very common. Snakes cannot be any more gentle than a western hognose snake. But I come across these guys on roads all the time where people come across what they think is a rattlesnake. And they come out of their car, they kill the snake. Obviously, the snake does not have a rattle on it. They are big bluffers, so when you come across one of these guys in the wild, they're going to put on quite a show by hissing. They spread a small hood, kind of like a cobra does. Basically, they're saying, "Get away from me, I'm dangerous." A lot of times, however, unfortunately, that does not work in their favor and they end up getting killed because the person or the animal actually thinks that they are dangerous. There are probably more myths surrounding this species when it comes to rattlesnakes than any other species. This is a gopher snake, also known as a bull snake. They get mistaken just like many of the other snakes because of the way they look. They share similar patterns just like many of the other ones, so a lot of them suffer a bad fate simply by the way they look. But also there's lots of behaviors that people associate with rattlesnakes that are simply myths and could not be further from the truth. One of them, one of my favorites that's out there, is that bull snakes and rattlesnakes hybridize to create bull rattlers that are extremely dangerous. This physically cannot happen. It simply doesn't happen. Bull snakes like this, gopher snakes lay eggs, and rattlesnakes give live birth. So physically, the two cannot breed. So most venomous or most non-venomous snakes have a behavior of shaking their rattle or shaking their tail to sound like a rattle. So basically in dry leaves, grass, things like that, when a snake is agitated, it will shake its tail to try and mimic that of a rattlesnake. Uh, Ultimately, that means lots of these snakes get killed for no good reason. So I will now leave my friend here and go out in the field and meet up with George as he attempts to find and locate prairie rattlesnakes and Massasauga rattlesnakes.
Just what we've been looking for. Prairie rattlesnake. Crotalus viridis. This is probably one of the most abundant snakes out here in western Kansas. I'd say its diet is mainly rodents and other snakes. For example, the prairie dog would make up a vast majority of the snake's diet. This is a highly venomous pit viper. It's usually very aggressive, but its aggressiveness is only to defend itself. It doesn't want to bite you. These snakes are pretty smart. They know exactly how much venom to give when they bite. They expend all their venom. It takes it a while to recharge. So if they waste it all, then they don't have anything left for a little while to take down their prey. Alright, well, we're going to let the snake be on his way. He's pretty adamant that he'll whack us if we get too close, and I don't blame him. Awesome display from a beautiful snake. We're off to find the last rattlesnake species in Kansas. Here we have Cistrus turgominus. This is the Massasauga rattlesnake. This rattlesnake is the smallest rattlesnake species here in Kansas, and it also lives in the widest variety of habitat. In western Kansas, the Massasauga shares habitat with the prairie rattlesnake. You'll find the Massasauga in lower lying areas where you have more moisture, whereas you'll find the prairie rattlesnake up higher on the bluffs where it's a lot drier. An interesting thing about the Massasauga and the prairie rattlesnake is a lot of times they won't use traditional denning sites. Both of these snakes will use available mammal burrows. The Massasauga will sometimes use crawfish burrows. Any available hole they can get into to get below the frost line they can use for an overwintering den site. This particular snake will feed on a wide variety of prey: rodents, lizards, other snakes. Basically anything this snake can fit in its mouth it will eat. Awesome snake. It's getting late, so we had better let this guy be on his way. We have a long trip ahead of us in our search for the last remaining venomous snake in Kansas, the cottonmouth. Thank you, Curtis, for all your help in finding these great snakes. Had an awesome time. We're on our way to the Ozarks in southwest Missouri to find the cottonmouth. Although it's a native Kansas snake, its numbers are unknown. Only a couple of documented specimens have ever been recorded in our state, and those have been restricted to extreme southeast Kansas in the Spring River drainage system in Cherokee County. This is the infamous cottonmouth, Echistrodon pisciferus. This is the western cottonmouth, which is the smallest species of cottonmouth in the United States. It's closely related to the copperhead, Echistrodon contortrix. I want to be careful with this snake. It has a highly toxic, hemotoxic venom. A bite from this snake would most certainly send me to the hospital, and I would require antivenom. This snake has a very bad reputation of being mean and nasty. And as you can see, this particular snake, very docile, easy to work with. I think the reputation these snakes have are very unfair. Any snake when threatened will give you a threat display, as this snake will gape, show you the white insides of its mouth and its fangs, and warn you if you get too close they will use them. This is where they get their name, cottonmouth. The thing about venomous snakes is they are far less dangerous than most people make them out to be. This is not a dangerous snake if left alone. So I'm going to try to get the snake on the stick here. Now, as you can see now, she feels a little bit threatened. She just struck at my stick, and I don't blame her. She's flattened out, and she's letting me know that she doesn't want any part of me right now. So, with that in mind, I'm going to let this snake be on her way, and we will be on our way. A common misconception is that all water snakes are venomous. In fact, the cottonmouth is the only venomous water snake in the United States. Water snakes are very common in Kansas. Although they will act aggressively when threatened and can dish out a painful bite, with the exception of the cottonmouth, they are not venomous. Actually, for most people in Kansas, your chances of seeing a cottonmouth are very, very slim. We've explored the forests of eastern Kansas and witnessed the secretive copperhead and timber rattlesnake. We've traveled out west to the plains to see the fiery prairie rattlesnake and Massasauga. We've also taken a trip to the Ozarks in southwest Missouri to witness the rare native cottonmouth. I hope along the way we've challenged negative attitudes toward these animals that are far less dangerous than people make them out to be. I also hope you've gained a mutual respect and understanding for these animals and realized just how important they are to have around. Education and awareness of venomous snakes is necessary to stop the global persecution of reptiles. As I leave you today, I leave you with a few words from a very dear friend and respected colleague, the late Joseph T. Collins. I'm George Stevenson, and thank you for watching Wild Kansas.
We have to put aside large tracts of land for wildlife, and we must make it financially rewarding to do so through easements in which we pay the owner, or through tax breaks. This state has a history of fighting that. They don't like the idea of any land having any controls put on it, particularly by environmental groups or the federal government. That's incredibly unfortunate and so very short-sighted of the people of Kansas, who, if they merely looked to the west, would understand that if Teddy Roosevelt hadn't created the Grand Canyon National Park, we'd have McDonald's growing down in the bottom of it. We have got to do that. And somehow or another, the attitude of the people of Kansas has got to change. We must embrace all kinds of big parks, big wildlife areas, whether they be federal, Nature Conservancy, Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks and Tourism. I don't care who controls them or sets them up. We've got to have them, or we're never going to have good natural environment. And if you don't have good natural environment, you're not going to have the full complement of wildlife that lives in it. And if you don't have the full complement of wildlife that lives in it, some of it that will be missing will be some of my animals, the herpetofauna, the amphibians, reptiles, and turtles of Kansas. One can only hope that our educational system will pick up on this and that generations that come will begin to appreciate it and start electing people that know how to do this stuff. I won't be around to watch it happen. It belongs to the next generation.